Welcome to the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I am Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I am also the founder of amberapproved.ca. I support professional women achieve optimal health through mindful eating, self-care, and overcoming self-sabotage with food. This podcast provides the honest truth on what you really need to create body freedom. The No Sugarcoating Podcast provides information on healthy living, lifestyle changes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your healthcare practitioner regarding your health and nutrition program. Hello, friends. How are you guys? Happy episode 225 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I'm glad you're here. This week, I'm talking about how to address feeling out of control with your body, navigating pregnancy and emotional eating, and ways to stop a binge. This week's questions were again inspired from things you guys have emailed me or shared with me on Instagram stories. So thank you so much for sharing with me, because I really want to address questions and things that you guys individually are struggling with on your own. So welcome. A couple of key announcements before we get started today. The show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/225. Be sure to subscribe to the No Sugarcoating Podcast on all podcast apps. You can also click the link in the show notes to subscribe. As well, make sure that you are following along on social media. You can find me on Instagram, which is my name, Amber Romaniuk, Romaniuk. I have some great giveaways that I'm doing over the next few weeks there, Canada-wide and North America-wide. So make sure you stay tuned. Are you ready to take the diet pressure off? Feel confident, happy, and sexy in your skin without dieting, starving, restriction, or punishing yourself with extreme cycles with food and exercise that leave you feeling exhausted, beating yourself up, and then you just think, I must not have the willpower, which has nothing to do with it. What if I told you that building a healthy relationship with food and your body had nothing to do with willpower, and that kicking diets to the curb could actually help get you to optimal health more easily? What if the focus on the diets is actually what's keeping you stuck? What if the focus on the weight and the scale is actually what's keeping you stuck? When you ditch diets and weight focuses and address your true main health concerns step by step, whether it's body image struggles, weight struggles, emotional eating, overeating, overwhelm, overbooked schedules, hormone or digestive imbalances, whatever it is that you're struggling with, when you address the whole picture, you can move toward optimal health. You can also learn how to build the blocks of self-love and how to take the action steps to balance your digestion, hormones, eliminate your food cravings, and overcome emotional eating by building a solid foundation of self-love. That is really the key. So I want you to take a moment and think about what it would feel like if you had more free space in your mind cleared away to focus on your day, your life, your friends, your family, your business, everything going on around you. Who could you be if you weren't consumed with food, cravings, and thoughts of, restriction and calorie counting and diets all the time? And if you're ready to say yes to self-love and learn how to ditch the diets to build your confidence, I really have a gift for you. I would love for you to reach out if it's resonant. And I am still hosting my coaching sale, which I'm having a significant savings on my 1-year and 6-month coaching programs, which are very in-depth support to help you gain freedom from emotional eating, build a healthy relationship with your body, lose the weight in a healthy way, ditch diets, balance hormones, and also digestion. So make sure you reach out. You can email me at info@amberapproved.ca with the subject line coaching sale, and we can book your 30-minute body freedom call. Also, I will put the link into the show notes so you can click right through and schedule a consultation right in there, fill out the intake form, and we will connect and talk more about your health goals and struggles and where you're seeking support. So that is coaching sale, info@amberapproved.ca, or you can click the link below. And I really look forward to connecting with you if it's resonating. So if you are finding a specific eating style isn't working for you, you're struggling with emotional eating, food addiction, digestive issues, inflammation, you suspect your hormones are off, you continue to diet and fight with your body and your weight, you continue to be your last priority and self-care is a struggle, well, my friends, you are in the right place, because these are all the different topics that I'm going to continue to talk about, diving into the habits and mindsets to set you on a different path. Amber Approved offers private coaching for hormonal imbalances, weight loss and digestive issues, emotional eating, and more. Contact Amber at amberapproved.ca to book your 30-minute complimentary consultation today. So the first topic today, or the first place of exploration, is, what do you do when you feel out of control with your body? I think this is a great question, and I think this could go into so many different avenues, but I'm going to address a few different ways we can feel out of control with our body. So one is with food, losing control with food, and then feeling like maybe you have cravings and, cravings and intense hunger, not eating enough. Or eating refined foods can make you feel out of control. A lot of people feel out of control with their weight, and that makes them feel out of control with their body. Like they don't know how to address that. They don't know, why they're struggling to lose weight or why they're gaining weight. So I think that can be another way. And then a third way is symptom related. So perhaps you're experiencing different symptoms that just make you feel out of control with your body. So maybe you're exhausted and your energy is really low and you can't do as much as you want to do. Maybe you have really, really sensitive digestion and you feel like you're just becoming sensitive to more and more foods, and you have to really limit what you're eating. And that can be very difficult. So that's, again, another way that we can feel out of control with our body. So I think the first step of what to do when you're feeling out of control with your body is to really address what is going on. So pull out a piece of paper, your journal, a pen, because there will be some great journal prompts and questions again for you guys to ask yourselves. So first of all, what's going on? Why are you feeling out of control with your body? Is it weight struggles? Is it, emotional eating struggles? Is it physical symptoms, or is it mindsets? Is it negative emotions? Is it negative self-talk that's making you feel out of control with your body? But what is it exactly that is making you feel out of control? Can you pinpoint it? And if that is something you're struggling with to pinpoint, but you feel like you are struggling with the weight, relationship with food, and physical symptoms, that may be a great opportunity to reach out and get that additional support if it's resonant. So let's first start with the food-related feeling out of control with our bodies. And it's actually very interesting because the three of these are connected. So oftentimes I find the majority of the women that I speak with feel like they have just an exhausting relationship with food. They've tried every diet. They don't work. They keep failing on the diets. And then they keep reverting back to emotional eating, overeating, binge eating, that emotional relationship with food. And then they feel tired. They're tired of gaining the weight back over and over again. And then some, they're bloated, their stomach feels sensitive, their bowel health is off, energy is low, brain fog, lots of cravings for sugar and salt and carbs, baked goods, fast food. And so what's so interesting is the relationship with food can make us feel out of control with our body because it impacts our weight, it impacts our hormones, and it can impact our digestion. And oftentimes, for a lot of, women that I talk to, and this used to include me, when I would start to eat one of my trigger foods. So let's say it was like chocolate or ice cream, or it was lots of baked goods or sugary things. Chips were another one as well, but largely it was like the sweets. And so when I start to eat them, I'd feel this complete loss of control with food. But then I'd feel this complete loss of control with my body because now I'm eating these sweets and these trigger foods. I can't stop eating them. Now my mindset has shifted from, just have a little bit to, you've already messed up, so you might as well just eat it all and get it over with, and then you can start your diet tomorrow. So then it was like I almost feel like I lost control with my mind because I couldn't control my thoughts, or my thoughts weren't allowing me to control my actions with the food because I'd always lose control and overdo it. So now I'm feeling out of control with my mind and with food. And then I'm also feeling out of control with my physical body because I'm overeating. I'm losing control with food. Now I'm losing control with my weight. Now my weight's going up. I'm afraid to get on the scale. I don't know what the number's going to be. Now I feel out of control, with my physical body as well. And then, of course, with all the stress of overeating, binge eating, I'm bloated. I'm gassy. My bowels change. My stomach hurts. For some women, they're getting acid reflux, heartburn. And so then they feel out of control with their physical state of health. So we can see where it can start with food, how it can really domino effect and impact those other pieces. Or maybe for you, it starts with weight. And so from weight, you go, I have to restrict calories. I have to go on a diet to lose weight. And then you may have some short-term success. But then because you haven't addressed the underlying issues, which are the self-worth, body insecurities, hormone and digestive issues, and even the relationship with food, because that's a very big piece. You gain the weight back, something triggers you and you lose control on your diet, or the diet messes up your metabolism and it makes it easier for you to gain weight. And then you gain the weight back and then you feel out of control with your weight. Perhaps you eat healthy and you're exercising and you're gaining weight. And that really makes you feel like you're losing control with your body because you're going, I'm doing good things for myself. What the heck is going on? But again, we can eat well and exercise. But if we're not sleeping well, if we're not getting enough sleep, if we're waking feeling tired, going to bed late, if our schedules are overbooked and we always have high stress and we have a lot of different things on our plate. I talked about the overachiever a couple episodes ago. If we're always going and everything has to be perfect and you say yes to everyone else and no to yourself, you can eat as healthy as you want. You can take all the supplements in the world and you can drink as much water as you want. But chances are your body is in such a heightened state of stress that while those are good things, we often have to change the lifestyle, change the schedule, change the way you are taking care of yourself. Because if you're not rested and you're not addressing your emotional state of health and your emotional needs, your hormones get impacted and your cortisol goes up and your thyroid can be impacted and your metabolism can slow down. So that's why it's so important to know that if you are, treating your body well with food and exercise, but you are gaining weight still, there's usually deeper pieces to address, both from a lifestyle schedule standpoint and emotional standpoint, from like that overachieving mindset. And then as well, hormones, that's important to address, inflammation, inflammatory markers, and digestive health. Those pieces all really can play a role here. If you feel like the other pieces are doing well and you're not struggling with emotional eating. So then we look at, it can be frustrating when you're trying all these things and nothing is working. And that's where it's often we have to address what I've just mentioned and really get to the root causes as to why your body is hanging on to protection and why she doesn't feel safe. And then the other aspect of this is the symptom related. So a lot of my clients often in the beginning feel very out of control with their body because they're not happy with their weight. They have an unhealthy relationship with food or an emotional relationship with food. But then they're also struggling with different physical symptoms that can be very debilitating. And it can have a significant impact on your day, your life, your overall happiness and health and well-being. So, for a lot of my clients, they have very extreme fatigue. They're very tired. They have trouble sleeping, falling asleep, staying asleep, both, or they're just not getting enough sleep. Maybe you've noticed a decline in your energy and you feel like you can't do as much without getting fatigued, or you can't do as much, before you have to rest. And you're frustrated or sad about that because you're going, I have so much to do and there's so much I want to do, whether that's like, I want to take on more in my business. I want to make an online program, or I want to speak more. I want to travel more. I want to, do more with my kids. I can't keep up with my kids. Like, it can be so sad because there's this part of you that wants to do more, but your body is just so tired. So that's where we can feel out of control with our bodies. Or, if you have these debilitating food cravings that don't seem to go away, or again, you're always bloated and it doesn't matter what you do, it just doesn't seem like your digestion gets better. And so these physical symptoms, and there's many more, but they can make you feel out of control with your body. And so I think, I wanted to really explain that. It's because it's so important that we understand why you feel out of control with your body. And then depending on if it's like stress or like negative emotions, negative association with your body. So if you're thinking negative thoughts about your body and your body image and your weight, is it related to that and that you can't seem to lose weight and keep it off? Is it related to emotional eating and your relationship with food and diets? Or is it really related to physical symptoms that you're experiencing? Or is it all three? Because it definitely can be a mixture. But I think that's number one, is to figure out why you feel out of control with your body. And if it is, I really think regardless of what the answer is, it's really to do a few things. Number one, look at your schedule. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high and 1 being low, where would you rate your stress levels? Because if you're a 7, 8, 9, 10, even a 6, it's important that you address your stress levels. Are you happy in your work? Do you like your job? Do you like your career? Are you trying to, spread yourself too thin if you run a business? Are you working, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or maybe you've all of a sudden your business has exploded and you've had massive growth, and maybe you've gained like 500,000 Instagram followers, or your inbox is exploding with like thousands of emails, or you're getting all these opportunities, or all these people are emailing you, asking you for things, and it's all of a sudden becoming really overwhelming. And so you're expending all this time and energy to deal with all that, but then you're forgetting to take the time for yourself, so we always have to come back to ourselves if we're feeling out of control, and we have to get quiet, I believe, and slow down and take a few moments to breathe and go, am I stressed out? Is there any white space in my schedule for me to take care of myself and slow down? Am I taking time to eat my lunch and chew my food properly without distractions, right? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I getting my 2 liters plus of water a day? Am I addressing my emotional eating issues if I have them? Am I getting my hormones and digestion addressed if I feel like I'm struggling with either of those things, right? If I'm struggling with my body image and my weight, am I doing the work to address that? Or am I getting the support to address any of the things that I've just mentioned? Because if this has been a cycle of something you've been struggling with for a while now, and it doesn't seem to be changing, I think it's so important to get support with it. And I really believe that, it's good to be aware of our bodies, and it's good to understand, why we're having symptoms or why we're behaving the way we are with food, or, why our body's hanging on to protection. But at the end of the day, having the knowledge and awareness to learn how to listen to your body so that when you get symptoms or you get the craving or you feel the urge to emotionally eat, to know how to navigate it and how to deal with it, that is really the key. And if you don't know how to do that and you don't have the knowledge and the tools, it's very difficult to feel back in control with your body, or that you have the awareness and that you're in tune enough to take the action steps to take care of whatever it is that's making you feel out of control. And oftentimes this can be very in-depth. And so that's where I do encourage people to get support of whatever kind that is resonant for you, whether it's coming to work with me, or you're already working with somebody, or there's someone that you're eyeing up that you're, interested to connect with. I just think I can't express enough how important it is to get support, because this is a complex journey. But it's to slow down first so that you can start to understand why you feel out of control. And then, is it your relationship with food? Is it weight? Is it physical symptoms? Is it all of the above? Because if it is, I really encourage, first of all, being patient with yourself and giving yourself the time you need for your unique health journey, because it's going to take time to make changes. But the more you can bring in balance and slow down a little bit and bring in, some more quiet time or time to do fun things or things that you love, to really take care of yourself and focus more on you rather than on everyone else, it will help you make changes. But the busier you are and the more overbooked your schedule and the less time you have for you, you will probably continue to feel very overwhelmed and very out of control with your body, because you're not taking the time to take care of number one, which is you, which is so, so important, regardless of how busy you are or how fast your business is growing or how many things are on your plate. Like, at the end of the day, your health is your health, and no one is immortal. And at some point or another, if we don't make changes, it does take a toll on our physical, mental, emotional health, and we don't want that to happen. It's about prevention. So if you're wanting to prevent and you're not happy with things, there's a great opportunity to make some changes and take a different approach. But slowing down is my first suggestion. The No Sugarcoating podcast is proud to partner with Blue Spruce Decaf Coffee Company, North America's only 100% chemical-free certified organic decaf coffee company. They were born to give decaf coffee drinkers the option to have a variety of high-quality coffee to choose from, so stop drinking decaf loaded with chemicals. All of their coffee is certified organic, 100% chemical-free, Swiss water decaffeinated, and best of all, tastes and smells amazing. You can find them at bluesprucedecaf.com or well.ca if you are shopping from Canada, and make sure you use promo code AMBER in all capital letters to receive 15% off of your entire order. And that really brings me to my second point, which is navigating pregnancy and emotional eating. So I had a woman ask, how do I navigate emotional eating while I'm pregnant? And I personally have not been pregnant, so I don't know exactly what it feels like to be in that space, but I can tell you from experience of working with other women who've been pregnant and overcoming emotional eating and just, cravings and addressing other aspects of, this journey, that there's some different things that you can explore to help you navigate that. So, number one, when you have cravings, it's to really address, do you actually physically need to eat, or is this emotional hunger? Is it stress? Is it a funky craving because your hormones are changing and you're growing a baby, right? Your body's changing so much. But to actually have some healthier alternative foods to help with cravings. So it's like, if you are craving a chip, like, can you get like a higher quality, I love the hard bite chips instead of like your general, a lot of the other brands, because they're very clean, or they're a lot cleaner than other ones. Or maybe it's like a brown rice sea salted chip instead, if you're just craving a bit of salt and a crunch. Or do you want to introduce, if you're craving salt, do you want to introduce or just, sprinkle a tiny little bit of sea salt on your food? If it is also salt, you could also explore putting electrolytes in your water. if it's sugar, it's like, can you go for fruit, or can you go for something naturally sweetened with honey or maple syrup or stevia or monk fruit, or just something that again isn't going to take quite a spike on your blood sugar? Because when we're craving things and then we go and eat them and it fuels a loss of control with food and it fuels the emotional eating, what we really have to think of is, some of the ingredients that they put in some of the food products are very addictive. They excite the same part of the brain as heroin, like MSG, aspartame, refined sugar. For some, casein and gluten can do the same thing. I used to be all of the above, so I really know what that is like. So knowing that, having more natural whole foods ingredients and recipes and food products in the house that are not going to give you that high dopamine hit, it can help prevent like binge eating or losing control with food. And I also encourage, if you do have a craving or if you're wanting something, if you can pick a better alternative, but can you also sit and eat it slowly, mindfully at the kitchen table so that you're more satisfied? Because it's often when we're distracted and on the run and we have a million things going on and that we don't take the time to slow down, that we tend to then overeat and then lose control, and it turns into full-blown emotional eating. So I think that's, if it's from a craving standpoint, get the best quality of whatever it is you're craving in a small amount and try to sit without distraction and enjoy it. Keeping your blood sugar balanced is really important because let's face it, you're feeding you and baby. So making sure you're having balanced meals and snacks through the day. Make sure you're eating enough protein, fat, healthy carbs with your meals and snacks. Make sure that you stay hydrated, because two big triggers for my clients, one is dehydration and the other one is not eating regularly through the day. And especially being that you're having, you're growing a beautiful baby in there. So you're eating for two. So that means you need to make sure you're well nourished for you and baby to keep your blood sugar balanced. So that is also important. And I think sleep, I know as your pregnancy goes on and it's uncomfortable to sleep, but can you nap? Can you rest? And can you also establish a consistent self-care routine? I know things will be a bit different once baby comes, but are you able to integrate self-care in the evening or sometime through your day so that you can stop and check in with yourself and, check in on your stress? Do you need water? Do you need a snack? Do you need to take 5 minutes and deep breathe? Go out for a quick walk around the block? Do you want to do some meditation, gentle stretching, just I guess depending on what your taste is and how far along you are in your pregnancy and what you're able to do, but to use some forms of really relaxing self-care to just help calm your nervous system down, because another massive trigger for emotional eating is overwhelm and stress. And so the more we can navigate and combat the stress by making sure that we are also, dedicating some time for ourselves does help. Also making sure that when you do eat your meals and snacks, I always encourage people, make sure that you sit and eat mindfully without distraction, because when we are distracted, we don't pay attention to what we're eating. We often eat too quickly, which can make you bloated, but it also makes you feel like, what? I just finished all that? I'm still hungry. I want more. And that's where we can end up digging for more food and end up overeating or emotionally eating. So that's another, important piece. I also think, after you have your baby and you get into your breastfeeding and, your hormones regulate after some time, get your hormones tested, get your gut health assessed, because there could be physical things going on that can also fuel emotional eating and cravings. And so I think it's always an important piece to get addressed. So that's something that I always encourage, my clients to do as well after they've had their baby and their bodies have had time to, heal and replenish, and you're getting through a good chunk of your breastfeeding if you are. So I think there's different things you can do there, but I think, my top ones are making sure you're eating mindfully, you're hydrated, you're rested, and that you have a self-care routine that you are, dedicating some time to every day to help just ease stress before baby comes. And then as best you can, obviously, especially the first few months, it's a lot of feeding baby and resting and things like that. But, can you just have really calming, relaxing things for you to do between sleep? Because sleep is really going to be the biggest thing for you. So that's really going to be important. So I hope that helps with, navigating pregnancy and emotional eating. And this brings me to my third point, which I feel is really fitting of all three of these topics today, which are ways to stop a binge. So there's many different things we can do to stop a binge, but where the difference really is stopping the binge and being aware of why you're doing it and what you actually need instead, versus stopping a binge with another distraction, but not actually addressing the trigger. So I think one of the first things to do is to first recognize that it's happening, that you're overeating, you're losing control with food, you're feeling guilty about it, you're full, but you're still eating, to actually be aware that you are doing it. And then it's to, ideally, as soon as you can, after you realize you're doing it, is to stop, put the food down, take a couple deep breaths, and remove yourself from the kitchen or wherever the food is. So if you're out, can you excuse yourself to the washroom or go to a different room for a few minutes? I just think it's so important that we remove ourselves completely so that we can actually take a little bit of time, to connect with ourselves and just kind of take a breather and disconnect from the food. So that's kind of the first step. And then next, I think it's really asking yourself, like, do I actually really need to eat? Like, am I physically hungry? Because if you're physically full, then that's all about emotional hunger. And there's all sorts of different potential stressors and triggers that could be going on there that are fueling it. But in the case where, say, you've gone the whole day without eating, or you skipped lunch and your afternoon snack, and now you're really hungry, and so you just find yourself in the cupboard, like just completely binging on the first thing you see, it's like, okay, if I'm actually physically hungry, what do I actually need? Like, what kind of meal, what kind of food is going to satiate and satisfy me, rather than just going and starting to eat a whole bunch of chocolate covered M&Ms or a bag of chips, or, just something that's not going to satisfy and nourish you physically. So to actually go and grab whatever that is, and it's different for everybody. But to choose a meal or snack that's going to nourish you if you have it available. And that's why I always say, make sure you have good snacks at home, because it does really help, and at work, in fact, because it does help with these moments. If you innocently, got really busy and something got turned around and you missed a meal or a snack. I also always encourage people to have like nuts or bars, or to grab a piece of fruit when you go out the door, but to just have a couple non-perishable things like bars or nuts in your vehicle, so that if something comes up, you can at least grab that and have that in transition until you get home, or to a place where you can get something decent to eat. Because blood sugar balance and keeping yourself satisfied physically with your hunger is going to big time help to prevent binge eating. Because let's face it, a lot of people binge when they're starving because they haven't eaten enough. And on the other hand, a lot of people binge because there's emotional turmoil, trauma, stress going on, and they want to numb or not feel or want to distract, so they use food. So if it's physical hunger, it's important to address it. If it really feels emotional, it's like, why do I want this food? What is drawing me to the food? Like, is it a trigger food for you that makes you feel really vulnerable? Like, for an example, I know everyone has different trigger foods, and Easter's coming up. And I know that used to be a really vulnerable time for me. And I even talked to a client about it, and it's like, oh, the Easter candy, like, I can't go to the store because I'm scared I'm going to lose control. And so it's like, is it the advertising? Is it certain foods just pull you in and it feels really difficult to stop having them? But what is drawing you to the food? I think that's so important to ask yourself. Rating your stress level, I think, is also important. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, 1 being low, where would you rate your stress levels that day, that week? Because if you've had, consistently high stress, that can often be another common reason why, people will then go to food, because it's just a quick fix, easy way to numb or temporarily, relieve us or distract us from the stress and what's actually going on, before then, of course, it's not resolved with food. And then it just usually comes back tenfold afterward, because now we're bloated and stressed. So I think those are some things you can do. Also, going into some form of self-care, like deep breathing, meditation, journaling, get out for a walk, do some mindful movement, talk to a friend, take a bath, do a face mask or your nails, or gentle stretching, yoga, journaling, reading a book, making a cup of tea instead. I think there's other things that we can shift into. But I think it's so important to really understand, all the different reasons that are triggering you to binge, which there's so many that it's so complex to get into. Like, I find there's this roughly 20 to 25 really common ones, and then each individual person tends to have some unique ones of their own. So it's, starting to become aware of, are you aware of what's triggering you to eat? Because I think awareness is really a key here. And if you're listening to this and you're going, well, I feel like I've tried all these things, that I'm doing them, or it just still doesn't seem like enough, or it doesn't feel like enough, and this is something you've been struggling with for a year, 10 years, 50 years, 30 years, however long, I really, really just mean from the bottom of my heart to reach out and get support from someone who you feel safe and comfortable with, because often if you have some knowledge and awareness, but it's not enough, we often do need to go deeper and require that deeper level of support. And I don't say that because I'm trying to sell to you, but I say it because I hope it's resonant for you, whether you do reach out to me or someone else, because I want you to get the help, because I don't want you to suffer. I don't want this to be your cycle. I want you to overcome it and have food and body freedom. And that's really why I speak about it and talk about it in the podcast, because I want you to be happy and healthy and live a life that you love. And I know it's like to be stuck in a vicious cycle of binge eating and not able to stop it. And I also know what it feels like to get out of it. And it is very freeing and liberating. So I hope that helps with some ways to start exploring stopping the binge. Again, the more we get into other habits, healthier habits that don't include food to cope with our stressors, the more we move away from using food. I think it's also really important, just as a final note, that we do address stress, our schedules. We do address, do I feel insecure in my body? Do I not like my body? Do I not like my weight? Because it's often there's those pieces as well that will fuel binge eating. And so addressing body image and body insecurity and our mindsets and the ego and our weight and our frustrations with our health. This is important too, because these can all trigger binge eating. So that's where it really, again, comes full circle with your physical state of health, your emotional state of health, the way you feel about your body and body image, your schedule, your routine, your lifestyle. This all plays a role in this. It's not just one thing. So I hope that helps today, give you some insight and, to take some of these recommendations into practice, reflect and journal on some of the questions that I've asked today. So the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/225. If you have questions, feedback, comments, ideas, you can email me at info@amberapproved.ca, because I'm happy to always hear your feedback on the podcast. Also, you can go to amberapproved.ca and take the emotional eating quiz and learn more about body freedom. As well, if you would like to leave a review to rate the podcast and you're loving what you're hearing, you can do so on your phone or computer by going to podcasts, searching for the No Sugarcoating Podcast. Even if you're subscribed to me, you'll need to find the show in this way. Once you're on my page, you can click on reviews, write a review in purple, give me 5 stars if you like as well. You can also go to amberapproved.ca/review, and it will take you to the page where you can follow the steps that I've just shared. So I hope you have a beautiful day, a great week. Remember, there is no better time than the present to take action on your health, your emotional eating, building body confidence. So take action now. I will look forward to sharing a whole new podcast episode with you guys next Sunday. Can't wait. Take care and enjoy the beginning of March. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast and share it with your friends. You can find me at amberapproved.ca and follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Amber Romaniuk. Join me next Sunday for another brand new episode and another step toward body freedom.